Hello YouTube and welcome to another edition of the Gravestone Pros here at North Country Memorials. So glad that you're here today. We are going to have a great time. Dad is working on a full scene etching on a fairly large stone, kind of a simple scene, but it's really big. So I think it's going to be epic. If you want to see it, come along. Ready to get the artwork put on. And before we do that, one of the first things that normally happens is Dad calls for me to do a little printing for him. So I'll show you what I got. So I printed these out. So he's going to kind of get these proportionally taped up together, and then he will tape those on. So you make sure these are kind of the central focus. The chairs on the dock is the big thing in this etching. So he will take that and tape them together and tape that, put that on the stone. That will be his sort of first step, and that will help him get that, and then he'll get the water and the scene around it all set. So that's what he's going to do next. As soon as I shut the camera off, of course, I went back at it and looked at it, and it looked a little funny to me. The one chair looked smaller, so I did this one with the chair bigger, but then when I actually got looking at it, the chair in the actual original photo, the left-hand chair looks slightly bigger, just the perspective of how it is. But the original one we cut is going to work after all, so we'll take that out, and Dad is going to tape that on. We'll get that shown to you here. So while he's getting some of this etching done, I thought I'd tell you guys a little bit of my week. It was kind of a crazy week. I showed up here at the shop, and I had been gone for the weekend, of course. And when I got in here, the temperature was 40 degrees, and we had just had temperatures overnight that were down around like 5 degrees, I think it ended up being. And so it was cold, and it was going to continue to be cold. And so I was worried, obviously, that stuff would be frozen. Luckily, nothing got cold enough to actually freeze. So I went out into my boiler room, and the boiler was making an awful noise and had an error code on it. So we, of course, needed some repairs done. Now, I know literally nothing about my boiler. I have never done any maintenance or any stuff on it. I don't really mess with any of that. So I wasn't quite sure what to do other than call the repair guy that had come last fall to look at stuff. So I talked to Dad, told him what was going on, and got the number for the repair guy. And Dad actually called him and set up a meeting for him to come later that day. Thankfully, he came right away that day, took a look at everything, and figured out what was going on. It was about a $500 part, and it was in Utica, so it was being overnighted from Utica to Lowville here, which I thought about it after. I was like, I should have just went and picked that part up to ensure that it got here, but it did. And so I spent my day, I had went and looked at space heaters in case we needed them, but we decided it's probably going to stay warm enough. The water will be fine. I did shut the water off. That way, if anything did bust or start leaking, we would not have a ton of water going everywhere. Just a little bit of what was left in the lines. So we took care of that, and the repairman was able to come the next day and get some heat back in this building. But let me tell you, sitting in my shop for 2 days with just tiny little electric space heaters, each day it kind of started out at about 40 degrees, and then I was able to get it up to about 60 by the end of the day. But sitting in an office between 45 and 55 degrees most of the day is chilly. I'm a wimp when it comes to that, and I learned that very quick. But that was just part of my week. Anyways, we'll let Dad continue on with this etching. We'll put some nice music on here for you. You can just kind of relax and watch him work. basically all finished up. Dad is gone on vacation, and so he will be doing a little more touch-up, he said. But yeah, it looks really nice. Really happy with the way that kind of turned out. So the customer, I think, will be really happy next spring when we're able to get this set in the cemetery for him. Guys, thank you so much for coming along. We hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was a little bit entertaining and a little bit educational. That is always my goal. And really glad to see this etching. It turned out really nice. A little bit of touch-up, Dad said, yet, but pretty much I think he's about 99% of the way there. So it's looking really good. I think the customer is going to be pleased, and that is fantastic. Thank you for coming along. We will see you all next time.